Let's talk about Chapter 3, the Blocks Center. So, why are we doing blocks in preschool? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Blocks is a stepping stone on the way to math. Blocks is learning about spatial relationships. Blocks is often a social area in the classroom. And there's a lot of talking that often happens in blocks, a lot of thinking that happens in blocks. Um, Studies have shown that children who play with blocks in preschool have better proficiency in math later on. So that's why we're learning about blocks. And we'll talk about the importance of your role as a teacher in the Blocks Center, how you can do assessment through blocks and other materials, encourage language development, and how to work with children in the blocks area. So, unit blocks are the text of the early child curriculum. Children learn the physical skills of holding, stacking, and balancing blocks. Blocks should be used every day. Some kids aren't interested in blocks, so you need to find ways to help them be interested in what's going on in the blocks area, or ways that you can duplicate the learning that happens in blocks in other areas. So these are your unit blocks. You've all seen these in your classrooms. They can be colored, they can be wood toned, and you should have a lot of them. So you want to have shelves where you can keep your unit blocks. This is one way of storing the blocks, right? And you want to make sure that it's in an area where there's plenty of space for kids to get out all the blocks and use them all over the floor, right? You want accessories that support field trips and themes. So you want to put stop signs. You want to put families. You can buy families to put in your blocks area. You also want to label your shelves with pictures and word labels, just like you do in any other center, but you want to make sure that you've got a way for children to match the item to the container to the shelf, right? With pictures and words. One fun thing to do is to make little block people of your class. So take a block and put a child's picture on the block, right? One of the skinny ones. You can contact paper it on there so that it stays. You can use clothespins and put little pictures of their heads so that they can play in blocks and their friends can play with them in blocks, right? So blocks promotes physical development, and here are some ways that you can do that. You can put pictures of people in precarious positions, hold a block flat and pile blocks on top, right? And then do body action chant blocks, right? I put a block on my head, I'm holding the blocks, right? They promote social development because children are playing in blocks together. You want to help them join in the block play. Some children, this is a good place to help them join in an activity when kids have trouble with that. And then reading in blocks. It's totally okay to read in blocks. In fact, it's important. And it's important to have books in your blocks area about buildings and places so that kids can use the books as a starting off point for their play. Talking about emotional development in the blocks area, you want to talk about them being safe and taking care of themselves. You want to talk about them being safe with others and being safe with the materials, not knocking into each other, not knocking over other people's things. If you're having issues with this, you can always find books about what's going on to help children understand better. To promote cognitive development, use specific names for blocks and specific numbers for amounts of blocks. So you can say rectangle, square. What's sphere would be a round one. What's the tube one called? There's a name for that, and it's a name that preschoolers are supposed to know. Anyway, cone, pyramid, using those specific words. What is that called? Cylinder. It's a cylinder, right? Um, solve perceptual challenges through trial and error. This is putting things on top of each other to see what works. Giving them spaces within your blocks area to use to keep, to confine them so that you have to use a different kind of space, right? And then, of course, block pickup, making sure that everybody knows how to do it. Open-ended questions. Um, Open-ended questions are questions that don't have a specific answer. So when you ask an open-ended question, you're not asking for a specific answer. You're asking for how did you think about doing that? What is this going to look like when you're finished? How many blocks do you think you're going to put in there? How are you making those decisions? So it's not, what are you making? It's not, how long did it take you to do that? It's open ended. So you're asking questions that are encouraging conversation, right? Asking children to dictate about their buildings. Tell me what you did here so that I can write it down, and we'll take a picture of it and we'll put the story together and we'll post it by the blocks area. This is great for a lot of reasons. It gives children some ownership and some sort of feeling of accomplishment because you took a picture and you wrote a story about it. It shows them that their words have meaning and that they translate into these written things that they can see, right? Record children talking about their buildings. Take a field trip to a bridge and then come back and build bridges. Promote creative development, encourage pretending, put a basket of wacky accessories in the center, give them different things to use in different ways. Make observations of individual children in the center. Are they manipulative level? Can they move it around? Are they at the mastery level? Are they determining what they're going to do and then mastering it? Are they at the meaning level? Have they changed the meaning of things? Do they understand what this is for and can they use it in a different way? Assessing children's interactions, right? We know how to do that. We look at what they're doing. We write down objectively what's going on. And then we talk about, well, this is what I saw. This is where I think this child should go. And this is how I think we're going to get there. When you have an unsure child or a dual language learner, that's a child who doesn't speak, who speaks a language in addition to English, go sit in the block area and help children who are unsure learn how to join in the play, right? So you may have a child who you think is interested in blocks, but they just don't know how to start. Go sit there, start building something and say, hey, Julia, do you want to help me build this? Right? Read a building book story about pretending. Serve as a block building role model. That's what we just talked about. Tailor interventions to fit the situation and partner dual language shy children with English speakers. So always partnering children based on their levels of development is really interesting and important. And especially with dual language learners, it's great to ask other kids to be their helper, to be their partner. Interacting with disruptive children and builders. So sometimes you have a child who is in the blocks area who is not being a positive influence on what's happening. So you can help redirect that activity by giving specific directions and not just saying, no, David, stop throwing the blocks. David, if you're working on putting the blocks away, can you do it like this? Can we do this together? David, are you angry because Jose's tower is taller than yours? Can I help you build it taller? What could we do? Helping them understand, stopping the behaviors, talking about what's going on, and coming to some kind of solution together. So those are some blocks play ideas for you all.